Hey there guys, Later Game Dev, and we had a follow-up question from Dark Celestial on Reddit, who was the person asking about changing your projectile based on a UI element, right? So I think I still have it here, and this would work before I was messing around with stuff. So the question he had was, in his projectile, he has a variable that is set to expose on spawn. And this way, when he was spawning one, like this, it had this component here, or he had some other variables as well. And he could change them at spawn time, right? And they were dynamic and could do whatever was needed. So there's a few ways we can go about this. The first one is having a base class that all your projectiles are going to be they're all going to be children of it, basically. And that means that you want to make, like, in my case, this projectile 1, like, you know, if I named this, like, base proj or something, when I right-click on it, I can have create child blueprint. And what that's going to do is when I come in here, if I click on show inherited variables, it's going to have that move speed, and it's going to all be there. And you have these parent begin play. So if you already have stuff on begin play here, the child is going to automatically do that. So if you're already getting variable values or setting something, you don't have to keep redoing it. It's all done in the parent base class, and the children of it are kind of like automatically doing that, right? So if that's the case, if the other projectiles are doing that, what we can do is the chosen projectile variable that we set in the previous video will still continue to use this. If the projectiles are all like their own separate class and they're not children of that base class, then this will disappear, right? And it doesn't matter if that's the case, because we can use a switch, and switches are actually very, very useful. So the other way of doing it is we can come out here and we can do switch on int. And we actually already have this set up because of the way we did it. So if you haven't seen the previous question, go back and watch the video. It was how to switch projectiles based on a UI element, a UMG element. And we basically have this integer, which we already have because we have the current bullet slot, right? Which in here, no, not actually in here, but we have an iterate bullets function, and we're getting the current bullet slot, and every time we do this via the UI element, we're adding 1, and then when we hit the max amount, we go back to 1. So we're always going from 1 and we're iterating through. So we already have that information, right? So we're just going to plug this into here, and we can now add pins to it. And depending on how many we have, in this case 0 is always going to be blank. We don't use 0, so we'll just ignore it. But you could use 0 if you wanted. We can now do things based on this integer. So if our bullet is 1, which, you know, is whatever, then we want to do this function here, right? We'll do all of this. And we'll just put that over there. And now we'll select the projectile we want. We'll just use projectile 1, whatever. And we could, you know, we can set our move speed however we want. Maybe this projectile goes 5,000 speed or something. And this says there's a problem, but I'm not sure why. Because I didn't. Okay, sure. So now projectile 2, maybe this is a different type of grenade, or maybe it's a rocket instead of a bullet. So maybe we want it to go a little bit slower. Maybe we only want it to do 2500 speed, and maybe we want it to you know, maybe look somewhere different or have a different rotation. Maybe we want it to go to somewhere different. Once we've spawned it, maybe we want it to do something. Maybe we want to give it a target so it can, like, home in on something. You know, this gives us a lot of freedom to basically, based on what we have chosen, we can now run totally different functions that have a lot of different parameters. So this is a very good way to kind of have complete control over what it is you're doing. So in this case, I would want to do a different projectile, right? You know, whatever. Yeah, so that's some of the options you have when it comes to what you want to do, Dark Celestial. I hope this was enough explanation to kind of get you where you need to be. It sounded like you were like 90% of the way there anyway. So, yeah, I hope that helped, and good luck.